So now Srila Prabhupada comments on this directly and indirectly. If you go further down the purports, the paragraph begins with the chief engineer of a complicated construction. So somebody would like to read that?
The chief engineer.
No, I think so that side everyone got the turn to read. You can begin from here.
The chief engineer of a complicated construction does not personally take part in the construction, but he knows every nook and corner because everything is done under his direction. He knows everything about the construction, both directly and indirectly. Similarly, the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme engineer of this cosmic creation, knows every nook and corner, although affairs are being carried out by demigods. Beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no one is independent in the material creation. The hand of Lord is seen everywhere. All material elements as well as all spiritual sparks emanate from Him only. And whatever is created in this material world is but the interaction of the two energies, the material and the spiritual, which emanate from the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. But in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly, and he is cognizant of all minute details, and he is fully independent. He is compared to a mine of gold, and the cosmic creations in so many different forms are compared to objects made from the gold, such as gold rings, necklaces, and so on. The gold ring and the gold necklace are qualitatively one with the gold in the mine, but quantitatively the gold in the mine is different. Therefore, the absolute truth is simultaneously one and different. Nothing is absolutely equal with the absolute truth, but at the same time, nothing is independent of the absolute truth.
One more.
Conditioned souls, beginning from Brahma, who engineers the entire universe, down to the insignificant ant, are all creating, but none of them are independent of the Supreme Lord. The materialist wrongly thinks that there is no creator other than his own self. This is called Maya or illusion. Because of his poor fund of knowledge, the materialist cannot see beyond the purview of his imperfect senses, and thus he thinks that matter automatically takes its own shape without the aid of a superior intelligence. This is refuted in this sloka by Srila Vyasadeva. Since the complete whole or the absolute truth is the source of everything, nothing can be independent of the body of the absolute truth. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to the embodied. Similarly, the creation is the body of the absolute whole. Therefore, the absolute knows everything directly and indirectly that happens in the creation.
Okay. So here, Anvayag Itaratah. The Supreme Lord knows everything directly and indirectly about the entire creation. So Srila Prabhupada is giving us an example which we can appreciate. Most probably Srila Prabhupada knew that in the future there would be many engineers in the movement. And so he's giving the example of an engineer, the chief engineer of a construction. So, does the engineer directly take part in the construction? What does he do? Yes, he designs, gives the blueprint, and he plans everything. But down to earth, the work is done by somebody else, correct? But just because the work is done by somebody else, does it mean that he does not know about the construction? No, he knows everything about the construction, though he is not directly involved. And so, as far as the entire creation is concerned, as we know, the Lord is the primary creator. Those details, of course, we'll study later on. But he does the primary creation. So he is responsible for the planning, for initiating the creation, beginning the creation. But then, as Prabhupada is writing here, that ultimately everything is done by his energies, by the devatas, by his different expansions. But then ultimately, the entire creation is not different from him. So now in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is talking about two types of energies. Which are his two energies? Yes. What are the verses? Bhumi Rapanalavayu Kamano Buddhirevacha Ahankaritiyame Bhinna Prakritir Ashtada. This is? Yeah, 7.4. But which type of energy is this? Apara Prakriti. And the next verse? Aparayam itasva anyam piti prakriti me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharite jagat. This is para prakriti. And then in the next verse, Krishna says that whatever one sees is basically a combination of these two energies, para prakriti, apara prakriti. So the entire creation is basically Krishna's energies. Again, Krishna says in the 9th chapter, 4th verse. What is 9th chapter, 4th verse? Yes, Maya tadamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murti namatstani sarvabhutani nacham te shavastitah. So the entire jagat, Krishna is saying, is I am pervading this entire jagat through my avyakta murtina. What is this avyakta murtina? There's a translation. What does it mean?
By the unmanifested form.
Thank you for the translation. What does it mean? What is this avyakta murtina, unmanifested form, murtina, that Krishna says is pervading the entire universe? Yes, basically his energies. He is pervading the entire creation through his different energies. But at the same time, there is the Siddhanta, and that is Shakti Shaktimatiyor Abheda. There is no difference between the Shakti and the Shaktiman. So those of you have studied Bhakti Shastri during our discussions, we have discussed this point quite elaborately. That there is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. So what are some analogies to describe this? Okay, one person raise hand and explain the sun and sunshine. Yes, Akshay.
Sun and sunshine are inseparable. There is no meaning of sunshine without sun and sun without sunshine.
Good. So, on the basis of this, how do you prove that there is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman? Shaktiman is sun. Shakti is sunshine. Okay, so now how do you prove that there is no difference between the two? Sharat?
So both has to exist simultaneously. So there is no meaning of Shakti without the Shaktiman. So there is sun, which means also implies that there has to be Shakti also. So by that we can understand that both are existing and both are there present.
Agreed. Both are existing. How do you prove that there is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman? Harinan.
Sun gives sunlight and heat. Similarly, sunshine also gives sunlight and heat. Both are there in both, and we can feel the presence of sun through sunlight also.
Correct. That's correct. How do you prove that they're not different?
Prabhupada gave example is as soon as sunlight came to the room, we came to know that sun came and we know about the presence. So as soon as you see the sunshine, we know that yeah, this is sun.
Agreed. So the sunshine indicates the sun, presence of the sun. But how do you prove that there is no difference between sunshine and the sun? Huh?
Same quality.
Okay. What is the quality?
Satchidananda.
Heat and light. Correct. Those are the qualities. How do you prove they're non-different?
Quality level.
Okay, quality to the correct. Your point is correct. How do you practically prove it? What's that? Madhusan bro?
Actually, difference is there. Like sun is some person, means object is there. Sunshine is impersonal.
Okay.
And at the same time, it is same because while speaking, we speak. When sunlight comes, we can that sun came.
Okay, okay. Your point is correct. So there is simultaneous oneness and difference. How do you practically prove that there is no difference between sunshine and sun? Somebody was saying something.
Burning a paper.
Ah. How do you burn it? Okay, take a magnifying glass and focus the sunshine, and then what happens? The paper burns. Was that?
Effect is same.
Yes. So that practically proves that the sunshine is as powerful as the sun. Just like the sun has a capacity to burn, similarly sunshine also has a capacity to burn. Okay? So this is Srila Prabhupada's example to prove that there is no difference between sunshine and sun. Yet there is a difference. Correct? You say sunshine enters into the room. Can you say sun has entered into the room? If sun actually enters into the room, what will happen? No one will remain. So yes, there is simultaneous oneness and difference, but the fact remains that there is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. Now, Prabhupada gives quite an interesting example in his lecture here. Read it.
God, by his plenary expansion, is situated everywhere. Therefore, his name is Vasudeva. Now, Vasudeva is the origin of everything. So that is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Anyone who has understood that everything, whatever we see, that is Vasudeva. But we should always remember that Vasudeva is everything. Still, everything is not Vasudeva. Just like in a big factory. In your country or in America, that Ford, Mr. Ford, he has got very big factory. So in the factory, everywhere the Mr. Ford is there. But if you have to see Mr. Ford, you cannot see the car Ford and you become satisfied. The car is also written there, Ford. So if I want to see Mr. Ford, and if we see the car and we say, now I have met with Mr. Ford, that is foolishness. The car is Ford, but Ford is not the car.
The car is Ford, but Ford is not the car. The car is Ford. Why the car is Ford?
Because it's
Because it is
produced
the
by Ford.
creation of the
Yes, so the car is compared to what? Yes, the energy. The car is compared to Mr. Ford's energy. Mr. Ford's energy is manifest as the car. So therefore the car is also called Ford because it is his energy. But at the same time, Ford is not the car. At the same time, if you want to see Mr. Ford, you cannot be satisfied simply by seeing the car. Correct. So that is how there is a simultaneous oneness and difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. Correct. But the fact still remains, Shakti Shaktimatayor Abheda. There is no difference between Shakti and Shaktiman. So therefore Prabhupada is making this important statement here, and that is, since the complete whole or the absolute truth is the source of everything, Nothing can be independent of the body of the absolute truth. Whatever happens to the body quickly becomes known to the embodied. Similarly, the creation is the body of the absolute whole. So the entire universe is Krishna's creation. It is Krishna's energy. Therefore, on the basis of that Siddhanta, the whole creation can be said to be non-different from Krishna. Correct? The whole creation can be said to be non-different from Krishna. That is the Avyakta Murtina. That is actually the Virat Roop of the Lord. The Virat Roop of the Lord is the manifestation of the Lord within the creation, within the universe. You have studied Virat Roop, correct? In the Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter. So the entire universe can be said to be the body of the Lord. That is elaborately described in the first canto of the first chapter of the second canto, the Virat Roop. But the entire universe can be considered to be the body of the Lord because it is the Shakti of the Lord. Therefore, anything that happens to the body is known to the embodied. Even if somebody pulls even one hair, of course, most brahmacharis don't have much hair to pull. But even if one pulls one hair, one can feel it, correct? Why? Because it is my body. Because it is my body, whatever happens to even the tip of the hair becomes known to the embodied. Similarly, the entire universe is whose body? Krishna's body. Therefore, Krishna knows everything about his body. That is how directly and indirectly Krishna knows everything. So directly he knows because he has planned the entire creation, he has manifested the entire creation through his Shaktis, through his expansions, through the Devatas. So Krishna knows directly. And indirectly also he knows everything because ultimately everything is a Shakti. So through his Shaktis also he knows everything. So that is how directly and indirectly Krishna knows everything about the creation. Okay. Vishwanath Thakur in his commentary gives a few more aspects or different angles of view to understand this Anvayat Vyatireka. Please read.
The Lord's supreme power is indicated in this verse with Janmadi Asyayata, Vedanta Sutra 1.1.2. Let us meditate on the Supreme Lord, from whom Yata arises creation, maintenance and destruction, Janmadi, of the universe, Asya. Should they meditate on time which causes all this? No, the Lord is the cause because he is the material and the efficient cause. Anvayar Itarasa. Anvayar Itara. Anvaya and its opposite can mean Anvaya Vyatireka, which is talking about causality, can refer to cause and effect. The Lord in relation to the universe is like the earth, which as a material cause is inherent in the pot, and the pot which as an effect is inherent in its material cause, the earth. Thus this phrase means that the Lord is a material cause, Upadan Karan. The word Cha indicates the efficient cause, Nimitta Karan, which is time, because the Lord takes the form of time to influence Prakriti. Thus the Lord is the cause, Janma, by being the material, Anvaya Ritarva, and the efficient cause, Cha.
Okay, so here he is explaining that how the Lord is the Upadan Karan and the Nimitta Karan. Or if you want to put it in simple English words, then immediate cause, remote cause. So the example is given of a pot. What is the immediate cause of the pot?
Earth.
The earth. The immediate cause of the pot is the earth. But is the earth directly able to produce the pot? No. So who is the remote cause? The potter. So similarly, Upadan Karan for the entire creation is the various material elements, correct? The various material elements, they are the Upadan Karan. Upa means close, close. So just like you have Upanayanam, Upa. Upa means close. So immediate. So the immediate cause for the entire creation is the various material elements. And of course, the material elements, as we have just seen, Bhumi, Rapo, Nala, Vayu, what are they? They're the energy of the Lord. So therefore, the immediate cause is also the Lord's energy. But at the same time, the efficient cause or the Nimitta Karan, that is, on one hand, you can say it is time, because time activates everything. Initially, all the material elements are in an avyakta form, correct? Unmanifest form. But then Mahavishnu glances on the Pradhan, then becomes activated, all that happens. So, unless the Supreme Lord glances, everything remains unmanifest. Everything becomes manifest when Mahavishnu glances. Of course, the glance of Mahavishnu has three elements, that is Kala, Karma, and Jiva. Okay, so all these are the constituents of the glance of Mahavishnu. So therefore he says, okay, one can say the Nimitta Karan is Kala. But is Kala independent? No. In Bhagavad Gita, what Krishna said? Kalosmi. So Krishna said, I am time. Okay, you can say Krishna is time is energy of Krishna, but in any case, Krishna is the cause of time. So therefore, the immediate cause are the material elements. The material elements are Shakti of the Lord. The remote cause, the Nimitta Karan, is the Lord Himself. Therefore, directly and indirectly, Krishna is the cause of the creation. Therefore, directly and indirectly, He knows everything about the creation. He is giving one more viewpoint. Please read.
Or the word Anvaya, meaning inclusion or entrance into, can also indicate that the Lord is the cause and destruction, Janmad, because everything enters the Lord. The universes enter into the Lord at destruction and issues from Him at the time of creation. Itaratah then indicates division of matter taking place at the level of secondary creation, outside the Lord. That means that the Lord is the basis
Adhishtatara
of the whole universe, just as water is the basis of earth and fire is the basis of water. Thus, Lord is that person from whom creation, maintenance and destruction takes place, because everything is contained within Him, Anvayat, and everything in the secondary creation is outside Him, but based on Him.
So another meaning he is talking about directly and indirectly is primary creation, secondary creation. Primary creation, the Lord Himself does. Of course, that also He does not do directly, He does it through His various plenary portions. And then the secondary creation, who does secondary creation? Brahma does. Is Brahma independent in doing secondary creation? No, he is also not independent. So therefore, another meaning of Anvayad Itaraha can be taken as primary creation, secondary creation. But ultimately the Lord is responsible for both primary as well as secondary creation. So this is another viewpoint. He gives one more viewpoint.
Or the word Anvaya, meaning sequence, can mean that the Lord is creation and destruction, Janmadi, because He is the whole sequence of creation, maintenance and destruction. The universe itself is kept at a distance from the Swarupa of the Lord by the use of the descriptive word Itarataha, different. Since the creation, maintenance and destruction of the universe is different from the Lord's Swarup Shakti, Cha indicates it is non-different from the Maya Shakti. Thus, Anvayat Itarataha Cha means the Lord is the creator, maintainer and destroyer, since He is non-different from the universe in its phases of creation, maintenance and destruction. But this universe is different from His Swarupa and non-different from His Maya Shakti.
Yes, so this is quite similar to the point that we discussed, that directly and indirectly how is involved. So directly he is involved because he is responsible for initiating creation, maintenance, destruction. Nothing can happen without his sanction, correct? His sanction has to be there, whatever is done. But it does not happen through his Swarupa Shakti, the internal potency. The internal potency is not involved with the material creation. Whatever happens in the material creation is happening through Maya Shakti basically. Now, as we know, Mahavishnu is the one who glances over the Pradhan, activates it, all that is happening through Mahavishnu. But actually even Mahavishnu is not directly involved. Even the glance of Mahavishnu goes through Shambhu and Parvati. And so therefore, the Lord is indirectly involved. So yes, he is directly involved because without his sanction nothing happens. But at the same time, it is not a transformation of his Swarup Shakti that takes place. Everything is taking place through his Maya Shakti. So therefore, it is indirect. But at the same time, as the Brahma Samhita says, Chaye Vayasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga. Durga is what? Chaya. So it's just like Chaya. Chaya is an independence? No, Chaya has no independence. So Durga is like Chaya. No independence, but at the same time, it is basically Maya Shakti who is doing the work. So therefore, Krishna is indirectly involved. So these are the meanings of Anvayat Itarataha. Okay, so this is just some quotes to understand Upadan Karan, Nimitta Karan and all that. We took something from the prayers of the Pasankhad Vedas, but I think that's okay. Don't want to get into too many technical details. But I think so we can read this. Read.
Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 6.14 and 15. Just as the external energy consists of two parts, the efficient cause, Nimitta, and the material cause, Upadana, Maya being the efficient cause and the Pradhana, the material cause, so Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Person of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the material world with the efficient and material causes. Purport. Srila Baldev Vidyabhushan has therefore enunciated the nature of Pradhana as follows. Material nature is inert, and as such, it cannot be the cause of matter, neither as the material nor as the efficient cause. Seeing the wonderful arrangement and management of the cosmic manifestation, generally suggests that a living brain is behind this arrangement, for without a living brain, such an arrangement could not exist. One should not imagine that such an arrangement can exist without conscious direction. In our practical experience, we never see that inert bricks can themselves construct a big building.
So therefore, so even if one says that Maya is the efficient cause, Pradhan is the material cause, so one can say this also, correct? Immediate cause is Pradhan because all the material elements come from Pradhan. What activates Pradhan? Maya Shakti. So one can say Maya Shakti is the Nimitta Karan or the remote cause. But both of them, the Pradhan as well as Maya Shakti, both of them are dependent on the Supreme Lord. They are dependent on a conscious entity. Because both of them are dead. Pradhan is dead. Maya Shakti is Shakti, but no independence. So in one sense, both are inert. Therefore, there has to be a conscious sentient being to activate them. Without that activation, nothing works. And Srila Prabhupada is giving so many examples to illustrate this point. That how, without the interference of a conscious being, nothing works. Some examples?
Car may be well designed, but it cannot move.
Yes, a car may be well designed, but it will keep lying over there unless a living person enters it. Some other examples?
Prabhupada gives bricks. Bricks are lying there, but it will not get.
Yes, so the bricks may be there, but the bricks automatically don't get into a construction. They don't construct themselves. Don't find a building automatically coming out just because of the presence of bricks. So for anything to happen, for manipulation of matter, a living force is required. Therefore, in the 5th verse of the 7th chapter of the Gita, Krishna is saying that the Jivatma, the living force, is called Aparem, or superior energy. Superior energy. Why is called superior? Because he can manipulate the inferior energy. And that living force is required for the manipulation. So therefore, ultimately the Supreme Lord's intervention is required. And just to explain this point about the speciality of the Lord's creation, Prabhupada gives a nice example. So go further down in the purport. The paragraph begins with, that the Supreme Lord is all perfect is confirmed in all Shruti mantras. You got it?
Yes, sir. That the Supreme Lord is all perfect is confirmed in all Shruti mantras. It is said in the Shruti mantras that the all perfect Lord threw a glance over matter and thus created all living beings. The living beings are parts and parcel of the Lord, and He impregnates the vast material creation with seeds of spiritual sparks. And thus the creative energies are set in motion to enact so many wonderful creations. An atheist may argue that God is no more expert than a watchmaker. But of course, God is greater because He can create machines in duplicate male and female forms. The male and female forms of different types of machineries go on producing innumerable similar machines without God's further attention. If a man could manufacture such a set of machines that could produce other machines without his attention, then he could approach the intelligence of God. But that is not possible, for each machine has to be handled individually. Therefore, no one can create as well as God. Another name for God is Asamardha, which means that no one is equal to or greater than Him. Param Satyam, or the Supreme Truth, is He who has no equal or superior. This is confirmed in the Shruti mantras. It is said that before the creation of the material universe, there existed the Lord only, who is master of everyone. That Lord instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge. That Lord has to be obeyed in all respects. Anyone who wants to get rid of the material entanglement must surrender unto Him. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, so here Srila Prabhupada is refuting an atheistic argument that one may say, okay, God created, we are also creating. We are also creating so many things. But then Srila Prabhupada is saying the speciality of God's creation. And He creates one male and female, and then the population keeps on expanding automatically. So who can do that? Who can create that? So that man cannot create. And so therefore, the important point is that ultimately for the creation of the entire material universes, the Lord's intervention is required. So therefore, He is both the direct as well as the indirect cause for everything. Okay? Any clarification so far?
That what is that argument atheists give that watchmakers?
So the argument is that just like God is creating, we are also creating. So many things we are creating. No? Laptop is here, camera is there, so many things are there. So many things we are creating. So what is the difference between God and us? We also create, God also creates. So now Prabhupada is refuting that by saying, okay, you also create, God also creates, but what is the difference? God just has to create once. One male form, female form, and then automatic expansion takes place. Can we do that? That would have been good business. But can't do it.
One more, Guruji. This Upadan cause, this is referred to material cause.
Yes.
Means it is generally we say that it is material cause is immediate.
Correct.
And efficient cause is nimitt. But in sloka that nimitta matra bahut savai says.
Oh, that's a different meaning altogether. That's a different meaning. Nimitta matram person. That become an instrument. Of course, the basic meaning is the same. Instrument. Nimitta means instrument. So here also, the nimitta. Nimitta means he is the nimitta or the instrument for the creation. Okay. So nimitta karan, he is the instrument. The meaning is the same, but here in this case, it means that there is an immediate cause of the upadan karan, and nimitta karan means the efficient cause. He is efficient because he is efficient to activate the material cause. That is an efficient cause. Okay. Okay.
Prabhu, this Avyakt Murti na, so you are saying that this world is kind of body of Lord, so in that sense, Lord is called as Avyakt Murti na.
Yes.
But this is manifested world. So why the word is Avyakta used for that?
Yes, because the word Avyakta Murtina refers to the Virat root, the Virat Purush. Okay, can you see the Virat Purush? How the Lord is spread throughout the universe, all the various planetary systems are sitting on his legs and thighs and chest. Can you see? That what is Avyakta. You can't see the Virat Purush. If God empowers you to see, then you can see, just like Arjuna saw. For that, you need Divya Chakshu. So maybe you pray to the Lord, you'll get Divya Chakshu, you can see.
You bless, Prabhu.
I don't have, what can I bless? And anyway, the devotee never aspires to see the Virat Purush. Because he's satisfied seeing the Shyam Sundar form.
And also one more thing, Prabhu, like Upadan, you are saying this Pradhan is the Upadan cause.
That's what he's saying there. That's Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami.
And also one more Upadan cause is Krishna himself, Lord himself. Is it so? Like
See,
right.
Technically speaking, Krishna is the Nimitta Karan. He is the efficient cause. The Upadan Karan is the material elements, that is the immediate cause, correct. But at the same time, the material elements are also Krishna's energy, correct. And we just said that there is no difference between Krishna's energy and Krishna. So on that basis, we can say that therefore directly as well as indirectly. So he is therefore the Upadan Karan, he is the Nimitta Karan, he is Sarva Karana Karan. Okay, here. You wanted to ask something?
Prabhuji explained about this glances, Lord glances. So is there different type of glances?
What different type?
Like Kala, Jiva, something?
No. So the glance of Mahavishnu, it carries all this. The glance of Mahavishnu is carrying Kala, Karma, Jiva. So that's how through the glance of Mahavishnu, all the Jivas are impregnated into the Mahatattva, and then that's how the Jivas enter into the universes, all that. So basically that is the glance of Mahavishnu. If you want details, you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Prabhuji, here it is said that from before at the time of creation only Lord was there, and from him everything came. So we heard that in spiritual realm there is no concept of time and like that. So then how to understand that if all are eternal and everybody is existed, so how then Lord is like coming first and then from him come?
Yes, so the Lord came first, and he created all the living beings, and then all the living beings came into existence, but they are in existence eternally. You got it? Krishna created, but his creation is also eternally present with him.
So that creation is talk about material creation or in spiritual, like even living entities also, like
Mamaivaamshu jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. The jivas are eternally there. So therefore there is no date in history at what date creation took place. The creation is existing eternally. And if you cannot understand, then it's a good sign because it's all achintya.
What is the role of Shambhu and Parvati in between when Mahavishnu plans this?
Yes, so Mahavishnu doesn't want to become contaminated by the material energy, so therefore he expands himself into Shambhu. Shambhu comes in contact with the material energy. Lord Vishnu never comes in contact with the material energy. So therefore he has an agent. And therefore the example of Kshiram Yatha Dadi Vikara Vishesha Yoga. Okay, so the milk and the curd example. Therefore they are non-different. Sure.
Here, the analogy of that chemist has been used.
Chemist?
Chemist can manufacture
Ah.
water by mixing hydrogen and oxygen
Mm.
in the laboratory.
Correct.
So then the analogy Prabhupada gives is that all the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord.
Correct.
But then by this analogy, one can say that just by one is supplying some elements, but then he may not know the science how to mix it.
Yes.
So how come one can establish by this analogy just that Krishna knows everything? Although like he is not actually being present, but he is just a supplier of all the material elements. But he may not know the science.
Who does not know the science?
No. By this analogy, if you see,
Mhm.
it's but just on the basis of this analogy, we can't just prove that Krishna knows everything directly or indirectly.
Where is this?
The chief engineer paragraph.
Okay. A chemist can manufacture water in the chemical laboratory by mixing hydrogen and oxygen. But in reality, the living entity works in the laboratory under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And the materials with which he works are also supplied by the Lord. The Lord knows everything directly and indirectly. So the simple thing is, so the chemist, he is mixing hydrogen and oxygen. Correct? So he has got hydrogen, oxygen. Can the hydrogen, oxygen mix themselves?
No.
No. Who has to mix them? The chemist has to mix them. Similarly, as we just said, the material elements. Who is given the material elements? Krishna is given the material elements. Who activates the material elements? Krishna activates the material elements. So ultimately Krishna gives the material elements, Krishna activates them, Krishna mixes them, Krishna does everything. So therefore, the same principle. Upadan Karan, material elements. Nimitta Karan, Supreme Lord. Just like the hydrogen, oxygen, they are what? Upadan Karan. The chemist is Nimitta Karan. But if you want to extend that, what Prabhupada is saying, but still, even the chemist cannot work independently. Without the sanction of the Lord, he cannot mix the hydrogen, oxygen also. Correct? So similarly, the material elements are there, Maya Shakti is there, everything is there, but nobody can function unless the Lord gives the sanction. Therefore, directly, indirectly, everything the Lord is. Okay? Okay, one last question.
Here we are talking about the efficient cost, material cost. It seems that the effect is also the Lord only. When you say the Bhakti now, the Lord is the effect of that cause is the universal form or the universe.
Universe, yeah, the universe is the effect.
So cause and effect are both are Lord only.
Yes. So ultimately, yes. So ultimately, the cause is the Supreme Lord. The effect is the Supreme Lord. Everything is the Supreme Lord. Yes, Sarva Karana Karana. And the cause is always in the effect. The cause is always in the effect. That is the principle. Take the example of the pot. What is the cause of the pot? The earth. So the earth, which is the cause, is also in the effect. That is the pot. Correct? So the cause is always in the effect. So the cause of the material creation is the Lord. What is the effect? The universe. So the cause, the Lord, is in the effect, that is the universe. And as far as the Lord is concerned, there is no difference between the cause and the effect. because everything is on the absolute platform. Yes. So if things are getting a little too complicated, one just simply has to understand Sarva Karana Karana. That is the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to understand that Krishna is the cause of all causes. He is the immediate cause, He is the remote cause, direct, indirect, everything Krishna is doing. Okay? So, if technical details are too difficult to understand, at least this much we can understand, that Krishna is the cause of all causes. But we can try and understand what is Anvaya Itaratascha.
Just confirmation for it.
Yes.
For one word, sir, for one cause, Nimitta Karanam, Maya, and effective cause. All are same, right?
Okay. So Maya Shakti here Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says Maya Shakti is the Nimitta Karan. Okay, the Pradhan is Upadan Karan, the immediate material cause. Nimitta Karan is Maya Shakti. Just like if you want to put in English words, there is immediate cause, there is remote cause, and there is ultimate cause. Okay. So the immediate cause is Pradhan, the remote cause is Maya Shakti, and the ultimate cause is Krishna. So the Nimitta Karan can be said to be Maya Shakti also. Correct? Nimitta Karan can be said to be Maya Shakti, but we just said Maya Shakti is not independent. Maya is what? Chaya. So Chaya is never independent. So therefore ultimate cause is Krishna. Only by Krishna's, as Krishna says Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter 10th verse, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suite Characharam. Prakriti is not independent. I am the Adhyaksha. Without the sanction of the Adhyaksha, nothing happens. Correct? Alright? Okay, now we'll proceed. Now the next part of the verse is Anvaya Itaratascha Abhigya Swarat Cha Arteshu. Arteshu means for all purposes, directly, indirectly. Abhigya Swarats. The Supreme Lord is Abhigya and Swarat. Now Prabhupada comments on this. Okay, now you go to okay, so in the Shruti mantra it is also stated, somebody got that? That the absolute whole or Brahman is the ultimate source of everything. Got it? Kahan par hai Mike?
In the Shruti mantra, it is also stated that the absolute whole or Brahman is the ultimate source of everything. Everything emanates from him and everything is maintained by him, and at the end everything enters into him. That is the law of nature. In the Smriti mantra, the same is confirmed. It is said that the source from which everything emanates at the beginning of Brahma's millennium and the reservoir to which everything ultimately enters is the absolute truth or Brahman. Material scientists take it for granted that the ultimate source of the planetary system is the sun, but they are unable to explain the source of the sun. Herein the ultimate source is explained. According to the Vedic literatures, Brahma, who may be compared to the sun, is not the ultimate creator. It is stated in this shloka that Brahma was taught Vedic knowledge by the personality of Godhead. One may argue that Brahma, being the original living being, could not be inspired because there was no other being at that time. Herein it is stated that the Supreme Lord inspired the secondary creator, Brahma, in order that Brahma could carry out his creative functions. So the Supreme Intelligence behind all creations is the absolute Godhead, Sri Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna states that it is He only who superintends the creative energy, Prakriti, which constitutes the totality of matter. Therefore, Sri Vyasadeva does not worship Brahma, but the Supreme Lord who guides Brahma in his creative activities. In this shloka, the particular words Abhigya and Swarat are significant. These two words distinguish the Supreme Lord from all other living entities. No other living entity is either Abhigya or Swarat. That is, no one is either fully cognizant or fully independent. Even Brahma has to meditate upon the Supreme Lord in order to create. Then what to speak of great scientists like Einstein? The brains of such a scientist are certainly not the products of any human being. Scientists cannot manufacture such a brain, and what to speak of foolish atheists who defy the authority of the Lord. Even Mayavadi impersonalists who flatter themselves that they can become one with the Lord are neither Abhigya nor Swarat. Such impersonalists undergo severe austerities to acquire knowledge to become one with the Lord. But ultimately they become dependent on some rich disciple who supplies them with money to build monasteries and temples. Atheists like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu had to undergo severe penances before they could flout the authority of the Lord. But ultimately they were rendered helpless and could not save themselves when the Lord appeared before them as cruel death. This is also the case with the modern atheists who also dare to flout the authority of the Lord. Such atheists will be dealt with similarly, for history repeats itself. Whenever men neglect the authority of the Lord, nature and her laws are there to penalize them. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita in the well-known verse Yada yada hi dharmasya glanini. Whenever there is a decline of dharma and a rise of adharma, O Arjuna, then I incarnate myself.
So only the Supreme Lord can claim to be Avijña and Swarat, all knowing. So which is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita which says that Krishna knows everything past, present, future? Vedam samaditani vartmana jarjana bhavashyani cha bhutani mam tu veda kashna 726. Okay. So Krishna knows everything past, present, and future. Only he can claim to know everything, and only he can claim to be fully independent. So even the topmost person within the universe, Brahma, also is not independent because he also has to receive knowledge, as Prabhupada wrote in that purport. Every morning when Brahma wakes up, he has to be reminded by the Supreme Lords. So even Brahma is not independent. So then who else can claim to be independent if Brahma is also not independent? So therefore the scientists claim that they don't have to accept God, simply bogus. So Srila Prabhupada says, okay, the scientist may say, I don't accept God, but ultimately the scientist, under the laws of material nature, one day he'll be kicked out in the form of death. At that time, the scientist cannot say, no, I don't accept you. No, you accept or not, you'll have to get out. So what is the independence? So the Prabhupada says, somebody with Einstein also, he cannot create another Einstein. So if the scientists are saying, okay, we are independent, we can create everything, we can do everything, then create another Einstein. Why you can't create? So Prabhupada says, see, the scientists are saying we can create so many things, we can do so many things. Prabhupada says in these conversations, he's saying that just like an egg has white portion, yellow portion, you do chemical analysis. You find out what are the chemicals, and then you create one egg and put the egg in the incubator and see if chicken comes out. Why you can't do it? You claim you have so much of knowledge, why you can't? Then he says, if you can't do it, then you at least accept that the chicken is a better scientist than you. So all empty claims of the scientists, they can't do anything, but they claim all these things. So only the Supreme Lord can claim to be fully knowledgeable and independent. Okay, so let's read from this commentary. First read this, then we will answer it.
One may object that the Mahat Tattva and other elements had not arisen so that he could have a body which could perform actions. Therefore, the verse says that the Lord is independent, Swarat. He controls everything by himself, Swayam Rajate, through his spiritual Swarupa, non-different from himself. Thus the Shruti says, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate, Swabhaviki jnana balakriya cha. In the Lord, there is no material cause and effect. He has his own inherent knowledge, strength and action.
Okay, if somebody says, oh, the Lord, He created everything first, but then who created Him? Because before Him there were no material elements. So who created Him? No. Lord is Swarat. He is independent. He does not require anybody to create Him. He is independent. Rather, He has energies by which He can create everything else. But He is independent. Good.
One may object that in the creation of the universe, one should understand that Lord Brahma has independent powers. For in the Shruti it is said, Hiranyagarbha samavartagre bhutasya jata patir eka asit. Brahma was born before other creatures. He alone existed. Therefore, Brahma should be the object of worship. The verse answers this objection in the second line. It is the Lord, Satyam Param, who revealed, Tene, the Vedas, Brahma, knowledge of himself to Brahma Adikave. Thus Brahma is dependent on the Lord. One may object that it is well known that Brahma did not study the Vedas from anyone. That is true. He received it in his mind.
Okay, so even Brahma is not independent. Somebody may say that, okay, Brahma, he got the knowledge by himself and he created. No, he cannot get the knowledge by himself. Okay, then he continues. Why he cannot get knowledge by himself? Okay.
Someone may argue, perhaps Brahma realized the truth of the Vedas on his own, just as a person sometimes gets a realization during sleep. To answer this argument, then it is said that Brahma independently does not have the power to realize this knowledge. For even the greatly learned are bewildered about this. Yat suraya muhyanti.
So if somebody says, no, Brahma got the knowledge from within his mind. Just as somebody may get some knowledge in sleep. Somebody gets some realization during sleep, no? Some scientist got. What is that? Benzene ring, no? He got in his sleep, no? So similarly, somebody may say, Brahma also got knowledge in his sleep. So he says, no, that is not possible. Why? Muyanti at Surya, even the great demigods are bewildered. So Brahma is also dependent on the Supreme Lord to get knowledge. Yes, Prabhu, what was the question?
It's related Abhidya. Krishna knows everything.
Correct.
So Krishna knows Bhavishani.
Yes.
And same time we say that living entity has
Independence.
So
Yes.
How to understand?
How to understand? So, that other famous question. Can Krishna lift a stone?
Can he make a stone?
Can he create a stone which he himself cannot lift? So what is the answer to that?
Yes.
What yes?
Yes.
He can create
And then he will lift it.
and then he will lift it also. So, to explain this, one example. Even in this material world, actually Prabhupada gives this example. Not a big deal to understand the future. Prabhupada tells the story of this man who was sitting on the branch of a tree and cutting the branch. You know the story? So I think in school you must have studied. And then what happened? The man fell down. Or before he fell down, some passerby said, "Arey, you're sitting on the branch and you're cutting, you will fall down." And the man didn't listen. The other man walked away. After some time he fell down. Then after he fell down, he ran behind that man and he asked him, "Arey, seems you're a good Jyotishi. How did you know I'm going to fall?" Does it require knowledge of astrology to know that? common sense. Prabhupada gives this example. What's big deal to know what's going to happen in the future? You have a chronic drunkard, you place a bottle of wine in front of him. Can you predict the future or not?
Yes, yes.
What's he going to do?
He's going to drink.
That is how in the material world, we had this big discussion in our Bhakti Shastri classes. In the material world, therefore, a person is so controlled by the modes that practically there is no independence. Even the so-called minute independence is controlled by the modes. So what is big deal to understand the... So if you and me can understand the future of what a person is going to do, then the Supreme Lord who has unlimited intelligence, can he not understand? See? Alright? Okay, we're proceeding. Okay, Prabhupada's lecture on this Abhigya and Swarat.
Abhigya and Swarat. So I am conscious to a certain extent only, not fully. I am not Abhigya. I am not very expert. These are simple truths, but these rascals are claiming that I am God. God is not only conscious, he is Abhigya, very expert, knows everything, and Swarat. Now, to get Abhigya, our experience, we have to consult somebody. But God is Swarat. Swarat means he is personally so independent that he doesn't require to take knowledge from anyone else. That is God.
Yes. So he doesn't require to take knowledge from anyone else. He is Swarat. As far as we are concerned, if we want to get knowledge, we have to consult someone, get knowledge from someone. Okay, Prabhupada's lecture.
Just like sometimes the atheist class of man inquire that if God is the original Father, the Supreme Father of everyone, then who is God's Father? The answer is that God has no father. He is self-sufficient. Therefore, this word is used, Swarat. Swarat means self-sufficient. So far we are concerned, I have got my father has got father, his father has got father, father. Go on. When you come to a person who has no more father, that is God. That is the test. If we find somebody that he has no father, then he is God. And if some rascals comes and says, I am God, then you ask him whether you have got father. As soon as he says that yes, I have got father, then he is dog. So in the Yo's country, so many imitations gods come. I know this, but you ask them to test him whether you have got father. If he says yes, I have got father, then you say you are dog. Therefore, God's another name is unborn. Anadir Adi. Anadi means he has no source of emanation, but he is Adi. He is the original source of everything. Therefore, it is said Anadir Adi.
Okay, so he is self-sufficient, he is Swarat, he does not require father, but everyone else requires father. So if anybody says he is God, but he has father, then he is dog. Okay. So now we'll proceed. So is everyone comfortable with the weather?
No.
Huh? No? So how many are conditioned to the AC?
It is there.
Oh, we are in democratic country. So what should be on the AC then? Okay, fine. Maybe somebody can on the AC for some time. हाँ वो फैन चल रहा है क्या?
That voice sounds good. Noise.
Lot of noise, huh? ठीक है AC on करो. Okay, let him on this. Give it. Okay, give it. Okay, both the parties have to be satisfied. Okay, fine. As long as we are in the world of illusion, then yes, we have to tolerate all these things. That's what the next part of the verse is. Tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha. So this is the material world made up of tejo, vari, mrida. Teja means fire, vari means air, mrida means earth. So everything in this material world is a combination of these three. Vinimaya means mistaking one thing for the other, or action and reaction. Action and reaction between these three, between the various material elements, creates everything of this material world by the influence of three sarga, that is the three modes of creation, creative faculties. And this material world is amrisha. It appears to be almost factual. It appears to be almost factual. Right. So this is most probably Mumbai, right? So it looks like a beautiful place to enjoy, isn't it? And so many people leave villages and towns to come to Mumbai because they think everything is glittering here. Looks so glittering. And it appears as if it is a place of factual enjoyment. So, that is the material world. That is why we have come here, correct? We are here only because we got attracted to this glitter, the glamour, which is being presented by the three modes of material nature. So, here Srila Prabhupada, he speaks about absolute and relative truths. So let's read Srila Prabhupada's description of the absolute and the relative truths. Now, somewhere in the middle of the purport, the paragraph begins with Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarup of the Lord. Got it? This is just about the chief engineer paragraph.
Srimad Bhagavatam is the narration of the Swarupa of the Lord manifested by his internal potency. And this potency is distinguished from the external potency which has manifested the cosmic world, which is within our experience. Sri Vyasadeva makes a clear distinction between the two in this sloka. Sri Vyasadeva says, herein that the manifested internal potency is real, whereas the external manifested energy in the form of material existence is only temporary and illusory, like the mirage in the desert. In the desert mirage, there is no actual water. There is only the appearance of water. Real water is somewhere else. The manifested cosmic creation appears as reality, but reality of which this is but a shadow. Is in this spiritual world. Absolute truth is in the spiritual sky, not the material sky. In the material sky, everything is relative truth. That is to say, one truth depends on something else. This cosmic creation results from incarnation of
interaction
of the three modes of nature, and the temporary manifestations are so created as to present an illusion of reality to the bewildered mind of the conditioned soul, who appears in so many species of life, including the higher demigods like Brahma, Indra, Chandra, and so on. In actuality, there is no reality in the manifested world. There appears to be reality, however, because of the true reality which exists in the spiritual world, where the personality of God eternally exists with his transcendental paraphernalia.
Okay. So absolute and relative truths. So what is the basic difference between absolute and relative truth? Yes, bro.
Absolute truth is beyond the jurisdiction of time.
Okay. And relative truth?
It comes within the jurisdiction.
It comes within the jurisdiction of time. Okay, this could be one understanding. Now Prabhupada is himself in this paragraph that we just read, Prabhupada is saying, what is relative truth? That is to say, one truth depends on something else. Relative truth means one truth depends on another truth. But the absolute truth does not depend on any other truth. Can anyone give some examples? Yes.
So let's say one car is moving at 30 km per hour, and then it depends on from where we are calculating. If we are calculating it from some, let's say some person is driving a bicycle at 10 km per hour. So it will be, let's say, 30 km. But if it is stationary, then it will be something else. So from the point of reference, the speed will depend on the point of reference from which we are calculating.
But speed is speed. 30 kilometers is 30 kilometers. 10 kilometers is 10 kilometers.
No, my point is, if you are calculating 30 km per hour, from, let's say, a person is standing on the road, he is saying 30 km. But if the same person is driving a bicycle, then he will say something else.
Okay, so of course we understand your example, what you're trying to say. So you're talking about relative speed, correct?
Yes.
You're talking about relative speed. So one may say, okay, the car is going very fast. Is it an absolute statement?
No.
No. So why it is a relative statement? It's not an absolute statement. Why?
Because it depends on the point.
Yes, it depends on what you're comparing it with. The car is going very fast. The car is going very fast in comparison to the bicycle. But the car is not going very fast in comparison to the train or the airplane. Correct? So therefore it is not an absolute statement. The car is going very fast is not an absolute statement. It depends on what you're comparing it with. So in this material world, every truth, every statement depends on something else. So as soon as you say, he is white, so that means somebody is black. Correct. So everything, whatever you say, or if you say it is hot today, it is hot today. So it means what? If not yesterday, some months back it was cold. So we say it is hot in comparison to or relative to another truth that is cold. So it's all relative. It's not absolute. You cannot say absolute coldness or absolute hot. It all depends on, our perception is based on another truth. But this does not apply to Krishna. Whatever is said about Krishna is absolute truth. So therefore, when we say that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if we say Krishna is the Supreme Controller, that is an absolute statement. But when some other Shastra also may say that some personality is the absolute controller. Many times this question is asked, correct? There are some Shastras in which it is said Lord Shiva is the absolute controller. Or it may be said that Durga is the absolute controller. Are these absolute statements? No, these are not absolute statements. They are relative statements. So yes, they are controllers, they are absolute controllers, but the absolute control is within a jurisdiction. They are absolute controller relative to inferior controllers. Simple example Prabhupada gives, just like You may say that, okay, the chief minister is the absolute Ishvara. Isn't it an absolute statement? He is an absolute Ishvara, it is correct. It is relative to, say he is an absolute controller relative to the controller of the district, the collector. But his control is also less in comparison to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, many Ishwaras are there. Many Ishwaras are there. Like here, everyone sitting here, I'm sure is also an Ishwara, correct? To some degree, everyone is Ishwara. Everyone is having some zone of control, some people to control. But can anyone claim to be absolute Ishwara? At least we are trying to be. That is why we are in the material world. But no one can claim. If one is claiming, then that is simply because of illusion. So the point is that this is the difference between absolute truth and relative truth. And therefore, in the material world, everything is relative truths. And then Prabhupada is giving the example of the mirage in the desert. So in the mirage, there is an appearance of water. It appears as if there is water. That is the word used, vinimaya. Vinimaya means there is experience of one thing in place of another. Vinimaya. One is put into illusion. But the presence of or the appearance of water in the desert goes to show that there is actual water somewhere else. So similarly, Prabhupada gives another example. What is the other example? You have seen fake currency note? Fake currency note? So what does it indicate? There's a real note. There's a real note somewhere else. So similarly, this material world, it appears to be real. It appears to be real. But that is simply an illusion. But at the same time, it shows that there is reality somewhere else. Okay. And therefore, we have the famous example which Krishna himself gives in the 15th chapter of the Gita. Urdhva Moola Adha Shakti. So that is the material world, which is a reflection of the original. Now, Prabhupada extends this understanding to another very interesting point. Okay, here in this lecture, Srila Prabhupada is talking about how everything is basically a combination of these three, Tejo, Vari, Mridam. So you take earth, then put it in fire, mix it with water, put it in the fire, it becomes brick, and with the bricks you construct skyscraper. And so the same thing, Tejo, Vari, Mridam, Vinimaya. But when we install DT, actually the form, eternal form of Krishna, nobody offers obeisances. They'll go to offer obeisances to the dead, just like in the British Museum. They're standing in queue to offer obeisances to a dead body. It has no value. But they are wasting time there. But here, if they are invited, they are worshipping idol. Why shall I go? So this is called illusion. They're actually doing that. They're offering obeisances, but not to the personality of Godhead. So this is due to their illusion. So, okay. Okay, now Vishwanath Thakur raises an objection. Okay, read.
There is another objection. When we talk about meditation, it indicates that we meditate on an object that has a form. Forms are made of the three gunas of matter and must be therefore temporary. This objection is answered in the third line. It is like reversal, or one thing appearing as another. Just as
please read everything that's there in the brackets.
Vinimaya. Just as light may appear to be water, or water may appear to be earth, or earth informs Like glass may appear to be like water to an ignorant person. In this way, one falsely, Mrisha, thinks that the perfect spiritual form of the Lord to be made up of the three gunas, three circle. Gopal Tapani Upanishad says, Tamekam Govinda Sachidananda Vigraham Vrindavana Shurab Burhua Talamshina. I saw that form of Govinda, a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, seated at the base of the desired tree in Vrindavan.
Okay, so he's saying that okay, in this material world, all forms are made up of Tejo, Vadi, Mridam. So all forms are made up of these material elements under the influence of three modes. So God's form also must be like that, made up of material elements. So he says, no. God's form is not like that. God's form is Satchidananda Vigraha. And of course, he gives many other quotes to establish that point. Then how, as far as the Lord's body is concerned, that is not material. Okay. So, he's given something. Okay, we can skip this. Fine. Now, to further expand on the effects of this absolute and relative truths, Srila Prabhupada, quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, makes another very interesting point. This is the second last paragraph of the purport. Please read it. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Who's reading?
Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur specifically deals with the original and pure six physiology, Adi Rasa, devoid of all mundane impurity. The whole material creation is moving under the principle of sex life. In modern civilization, sex life is the focal point for all activities. Wherever one turns his face, he sees sex life predominated. Therefore, sex life is not unreal. Its reality is experienced in the spiritual world. The material sex life is but a perverted reflection of original fact. The original fact is in absolute truth, and thus the absolute truth cannot be impersonal. It is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosopher have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life, because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Consequently, man without information of the actual spiritual form of sex has accepted perverted material sex life as the all in all. There is a distinction between sex life in diseased material condition and spiritual sex life.
Right. So we were just making the point that because we see the presence of water in the mirage, it indicates that there is actual water. Or the example of the fake currency note. So similarly, whatever is there in the material world, as we just said, the material world is what? Perverted reflection. So whatever is in the reflection has to be in the original. Correct? Otherwise, how can it be there in the reflection if it is not in the original? So similarly, sex life is there in the material worlds. So it indicates that it has to be there in the spiritual world also. So therefore, the Adi Ras, the original sex life, is in the spiritual worlds. What is that original sex life? What is the original sex life? Adi Ras. That is? Pure love. Pure love. That is what is there in the spiritual world. Pure love. So that is the original sex psychology. Original sex psychology is pure love. Therefore, here also in the material world also they talk of love, correct? Here also they talk of love. But here the love is perverted. It is not real love, but it is lust. Now, Srila Prabhupada writes a very interesting statement here. He says, it is not possible to be impersonal and contain pure sex life. Consequently, the impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. Somebody would like to explain? Yes, sir. Sundaji.
So because
Reaction.
in a sense, when the impersonalists, they cannot find any happiness here in this impersonal philosophy, then they have to turn to something which gives them happiness. And those who liberate themselves from the matter, they come back again to the matter to enjoy.
Yes.
So it's like Prabhupada gives an example of a rocket going, but it comes back again.
Okay.
To do the same thing which they have left.
Okay, good. Yes, thank you. Somebody would like to add something to that?
Here, point of personality of Godhead is stressed.
Yes. So,
Like, means if the here things are, means here sex life is there, and true sex life, personality is there.
correct.
So there, the reflection, here things are related. So in the absolute also there is a personality is there.
Yes.
There this is absolute.
Correct. Your point is correct. Yes. Yes.
So because they deny the existence of the personality of Godhead, so they say that this form, which is a material form, is engaged in this affair. So this gives impetus to people to follow this example, and thus they are encouraging the illicit connection.
Correct. Yes. So, as far as the impersonalists, what they are saying, so the first point is that when we talk about sex life, we talk about love, there has to be personality. Correct? Without personality, how can there be relationship? Can there be relationship without being a person? No. There has to be personality. So now, what the impersonalists are saying, the absolute truth is impersonal. There is no form. So if there is no form, then where is the question of relationship? Can there be relationships without form? No. So that means, after being liberated into the impersonal Brahman, that means no forms, no relationships, no pleasure. Correct? Pleasure comes in what? Relationships. Srila Prabhupada is going on one morning walk, and this talk of impersonalists is going on. So to explain that how the impersonalists, they want to merge into the impersonal Brahman and get no pleasure, to illustrate that, Prabhupada is saying, just like there is this vast field, if I tell you, you stand here alone in this field, can you stand? No. Whole day you stand in this field alone, very peaceful. Nobody will disturb you. Just keep standing. Is it possible? Why?
Don't get bored. There is
No activity, no relationships. Pleasure comes from relationships. Prabhupada gives another example. He says, just like I'm giving class, he says, because all of you are present, it gives me some pleasure to give class. It's a fact. All of you have experience of giving classes. Of course, the Prabhupada did say, if nobody comes, speak to the four walls. But how much pleasure you will get speaking to the four walls? How much time can you speak? Of course, these days, these online classes, something like that. Therefore, as far as I am concerned, that is my last option. It gets boring after some time. You're speaking to the computer screen actually. So, but in any case, Prabhupada is giving this example. He says, but if there are people present, then you can relate to them. Then there's some pleasure in giving class. So, it actually makes a big difference, this online and actually giving classes to people sitting in front. It makes a big difference. So the point is, pleasure comes from relationship. So the impersonalists are saying the supreme absolute truth is no form, no relationships, no variety. That means in the spiritual world, there is no happiness, or that happiness cannot be experienced. And therefore the impersonalists fail to experience happiness in their paths. In the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I suppose this is 8th or 9th verse purport, I think. Prabhupada, he talks about the impersonalist philosophy, which is Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. He says, they say that this material world is like a dreamland, but they come back to experience the dreamlands. They say it is a dreamland, but then they come to enjoy the dreamland. Why? Because they don't find happiness on their paths. Because they say there is no form, no relationships, then where is the happiness? But the soul is looking for happiness, correct? Anandmayo Bhyasa, the soul is looking for happiness. So if he doesn't find happiness on the spiritual platform, then he is bound to try and find happiness where? On the material platform. And that is exactly what happens. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada is writing this statement. The impersonalist philosophers have given indirect impetus to the abominable mundane sex life because they have overstressed the impersonality of the ultimate truth. And that is why the impersonalists, and especially the Mayavadis, then even though they're trying to merge into the impersonal Brahman, they're trying to find Brahmananda, but they find no Ananda, even though all their names have Ananda. But they find no Ananda. And then ultimately they come down to perform materialistic activities, philanthropic activities, and then ultimately all the mundane activities, everything they perform. Why? Because they have not found any pleasure on the impersonal paths. Correct. So therefore, it is very important for us to understand that there is a higher reality where one can experience pure spiritual pleasure without inebriety, without any flaws, without any faults. In this material world, as Srila Prabhupada explains, the topmost pleasure, of course it's so-called pleasure, is sex life. But here, if one indulges in sex life, what is the result? So many problems. Prabhupada says, licit or illicit. Both forms of sex life, so many problems. Even if it's a legal sex life, so many children, raising the children, so many problems. And what to speak of in the modern days, so difficult. So, that is the nature of mundane sex life. But then, one will be able to give it up when there is an experience of true sex life. True relationships in the spiritual world based on pure love. Therefore, one has to get that realization that in the spiritual world, one can experience relationships which are based on pure love. No flaws, no problems in those relationships. Material world, all relationships, so many problems. Any relationship you take, so many problems. So when one has that understanding that in the spiritual world one can find true happiness in all relationships, then one can very easily give up these material relationships. Therefore, that correct understanding is very important. But the impersonalists, because they don't have that understanding, therefore they ultimately have to come back to the material sense gratification. Is this point clear? Yes, sure.
So here, when Prabhupada is writing this point, as given indirect impetus. So you are explaining that because they fail to experience happiness there. So, but here the Mayavadis can say that even though when we come back, but our philosophy remains the same. We will not engage in.
Okay, your philosophy remains the same, then why don't you stick to your philosophy?
So we will not.
Why don't you still try to get Brahmananda? Why you're not getting? Why you're coming back to material happiness?
So again, they may say that we will continue to, renounce everything or not get into this abominable mundane sex. So how come Prabhupada is writing through the abominable mundane sex life? Because they don't really approve that. They say that this is a...
Okay, they don't approve it, but that's what they do.
How?
They engage in materialistic activities.
Okay, materialistic activities.
Yeah. So that's what they do. There are so many spiritual organizations in India, and we know many of these spiritual leaders got into trouble, correct? And they've been put in jail also. For what? For what they've gone to jail? So why they didn't get any happiness on their spiritual path? There are supposed to be some spiritual leaders, thousands of followers. Why they didn't find? Why they could not give up? Why? Why they had to go to jail? That itself shows that there is some problem on their path, correct? And the simple reason is they could not get anything higher. That is a simple reason. So therefore, it is an indirect impetus by, they are not saying it directly. That is why Prabhupada says indirect. They are not saying it directly. Directly they say, they will talk about renunciation and all those things they will talk. That's what Prabhupada says. They are talking about, oh, material world is false. Forget about renouncing. It is false. Jagan Mithya. So it is false means it is like a dream. Correct? Then Prabhupada is raising the question, okay, they are saying it's false, it's like a dream. Then why are they trying to enjoy the dream? So that is why it is indirect impetus. Directly they are not saying it. But the very fact that they come back to enjoy it goes to show that they are giving an indirect impetus by saying that the Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal. The Supreme Absolute Truth is impersonal, the spiritual world is impersonal, no form, no variety. Because of that wrong philosophy, therefore they land into material sense gratification because they don't get higher taste.
But then they may refute that actually happens in all the paths. Like such kind of material desire can pop up in a devotee also. We have seen many such cases also. So how can we then challenge them that it is not only in your path, but it is in our path also?
Okay, somebody would like to refute this? Okay, your point is valid. Somebody may say, yes, okay, you're talking that, okay, the Mayavadis come back to material path, material sense gratification. But sometimes it may happen even with the devotees. Then
Not all the devotees are doing that.
you argue with him, huh?
So then they may also say that not all some people who are very neophytes, they are not on that Brahmanam level, they may get into all these things. So that is there in every path, like such kind of practitioners will be existing simultaneously in all the paths, basically.
One who does not practice only, one who does not develop higher taste, they only look for the lower taste in any path.
Anybody else?
Very highly exalted on souls on their path.
So called.
They are converted. No, so much. On their path, they are converted into Bhakti.
Okay, he's making another point. He's saying exalted people on their paths have turned to bhakti. That's what you are saying. That's what he's saying. Sharapru, what is your point?
Sometimes we see that also.
Akshay.
In the our path, whatever little endeavor we will make, so it will be there, permanently. And even if we fall down, we will start from that place. So it does not happen in their path. They have to start from ground zero. And also in our path, all the time, like there is a protection by Krishna. Konte pratijani name bhakta pranashyati. So that protection is not provided in their path. So we have these two advantages.
You're okay? Okay, he's okay. So the discussion ends. He's okay. Okay, yes, Prabhu, what do you say?
So regarding the same question to you, so do Mayavadis indirectly, Prabhupada is mentioning that they indirectly put impetus. So can we conclude that the followers of these sects, they are kind of way more involved in illicit sects than devotees or karmis, because their leaders are indirectly provoking them to get involved in these things. Is it a correct statement to make?
So they should bring you something else.
It is like even a Mayavadi comes back. Prabhupada writes in one place that they say that Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, and then they consider themselves liberated, but then they return back to serve the same world which they thought Mithya, and build a hospital and do so many things, and then they are there to give help to that Mithya world.
Correct.
So they have come back and they have taken a detour from their own philosophy.
Yes.
But a bhakta, when he falls back, he doesn't change the philosophy. He knows that I have fallen because of my weakness, and he goes back in the same direction of again climbing up.
Correct.
The purity.
Yes.
So this one difference is there between
Yes.
Mayavadis and
Yes, that's correct. So a devotee, even if he has a setback, but he will never come to the understanding that, okay, now I think so, well, the material world is the only option. That rarely happens, correct? A devotee understands that the truth is the spiritual world and I should try to achieve that. Okay, there may be a setback, there may be a problem, but the philosophy never changes, correct? And of course, as far as their paths are concerned, we are not seeing some neophytes, as you said, neophytes may fall, but they are not neophytes, they are big leaders who have given up the path, right? So that means there's a problem there. Okay, fine. So we're proceeding ahead now. So now the next part of the verse is what? So as far as the material world is concerned, the material world is tejo, vari, mridam, yatha vinimayo yatra trisarvo amrisha. Amrisha means it is not factual, it appears to be factual. So, but dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. But on the contrary, the dhamna refers to the spiritual world, the dham, the spiritual world is svena, self-sufficient, and sada nirasta kuhakam, it is always free from illusion. Okay, so that's the comparison between the material and the spiritual worlds. Material world, so much of it, it's just illusion. One thinks it to be real, one thinks it to be a place of enjoyment and happiness, but that's only an illusion. The reality is in the spiritual world where there is no influence of the three modes, no influence of illusion. And so here, Satyam Param Dhimahi. So now, on this word Dhimahi, now Srila Prabhupada is commenting on this. It begins with, the paragraph begins with, some Mayavadi scholars argue that Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Sri Vyasadeva, Upadevan that he is mentioning. And this first shloka of the Bhagavatam begins with the Gayatri mantra. There is reference to this in the Matsya Puran, which is the oldest Puran. Okay, so there's a reference to the Gayatri mantra. And so why there is a reference to the Gayatri mantra? Because, okay, now Prabhupada explains this in a previous paragraph. The paragraph begins with, unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto and especially the 5 chapters. You got that? Okay. So that's the ultimate goal, to relish the 10th canto, to relish the Rasa Leela. But then there's a qualification required for that. Somebody can quickly read that. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord. Somebody got it?
Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual and only the liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramahamsa can transcendentally release this rasa dance.
Rasa dance.
Rasa dance.
Rasa dance.
Rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually realizing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes the Gayatri mantra, Dhimahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahminical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully, and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, His name, His fame, His qualities, and so on.
So that's the ultimate goal. The Bhagavatam is presenting the highest truth, and that is the Rasa dance. That is the highest manifestation of love of the Supreme Lord. But to realize that, one has to come on the transcendental platform and at least come to the mode of goodness. So that's the Brahmanical platform. The Brahmanical platform is the mode of goodness platform. And so therefore by invoking the Gayatri mantra, Vyasadeva is telling us that yes, we need to at least come to the Brahmanical platform in order to actually appreciate the Srimad Bhagavatam. At the same time, as far as chanting the Gayatri mantra is concerned, everyone cannot chant. There's a qualification required to chant. But then, Vyasadeva is giving everyone a chance to chant the Gayatri mantra and become spiritually elevated by chanting this verse. This verse everyone can chant. Correct? No qualification is required to chant this verse. So everyone can chant this verse, but at the same time by putting the word Dhimahi, is giving a chance for everyone to get the benefit of chanting the Gayatri mantra and thus coming to the mode of goodness. That is the reason why he is invoking the Gayatri mantra. This is a verse from the 12th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also ending with Satyam Param Dhimahi, 12, 13, 19. So it is a similar verse. It's also talking about the parampara of the Bhagavatam, and it's also ending with Satyam Param Dhimahi. And okay, also he's saying here, in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's an explanation of the Brahma Gayatri mantra. The absolute truth, Satyam Param, indicates the relationship. And we meditate, Dhimahi, on him, indicates the execution of devotional service and the ultimate goal of life. Okay, so Satyam Param indicates, as the verse says, Satyam Param Sambandha, Dhimahi Sadhana Prayojan. Okay, so Satyam Param indicates the Sambandha Gyan, describing the absolute truth. And Dhimahi, we meditate, indicates the sadhana by which one can achieve the prayojan. And to describe Satyam, so then this verse is quoted from the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 26th verse, which is the prayers of the demigods to Krishna within the womb. Satyavratam Satyaparam Trisatyam Satyasya yonim nihitam cha satye Satyasya Satyam Rita Satyanetram Satyatmakam Tvam Sharanam Prapannaha. Please read the translation and we conclude with that.
The demigod prayed, O Lord, you never deviated from your vow, which is always perfect, because whatever you decide is perfectly correct and cannot be stopped by anyone. Being present in the three phases of cosmic manifestation, creation, maintenance, and annihilation, you are the supreme truth. Indeed, unless one is completely truthful, one cannot achieve your favor, which therefore cannot be achieved by hypocrites. You are the active principle, the real truth in all these ingredients of creation, and therefore you are known as Antaryami, the inner force. You are equal to everyone, and your instructions apply to everyone for all time. You are the beginning of all truth. Therefore, offering our obeisances, we surrender unto you. Kindly give us protection.
Okay, fine. So this is describing Param Satyam. Okay, so the various qualities of the Param Satya are being mentioned in this verse. Therefore, this is the Swarup Lakshan. So this, by using the word Satyam, then so many aspects of the qualities of the Supreme Lord are being described. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll continue tomorrow with our discussions on the further verses of the Bible. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.